Welcome back to part 2 of our spoiler full review of Rhythm of War, where me and my friend Kenny are going through part by part to talk about the major milestone moments of this epic book. If you haven't read the series, don't watch this video, but if you have read the series, read this book, and are okay with having things talked about of great significance, not only within the series, but within the Cosmere itself, then enjoy this video. Part 3, in my opinion, the slowest part of the book. It's the occupation of Urithiru, and it is where we're just getting both Navani and Kaladin trying different things and failing over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, some of just the explore the tower is a little silly and a little slow. I get that. I like Navani stuff. I think you need that for the whole arc with Raboniel, and you need it for some of the revelations about Fabrial science and what she's working on, and that becomes super cool too later. Where the fact that he tries to not just do cohesive magic systems, but cohesive magic science worlds interacting,
he's nuts.
Fully developed physics is so much. If any author was I want to write a book and this is what I want to do, and I was talking to them, I'd be like, you need to tone it way back or you're gonna fail. But he does whatever he wants, and he doesn't usually fail.
Hey, speaking of all of that science, do we get the reveal here that soulcasters are physically manifested Spren in the same way that shard blades and stuff are?
I think that's
what
in
does
3.
that
It
mean?
might not be till 4, but yeah.
No, I've got it in my notes here. What does that even mean?
What it means, that humans are more problematic than they think they are.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not news. I don't even know. It means that the relationship between human and Spren is even more intriguing than we realize, and that we're going to get even more of that.
Yeah. We also get our first flashback, and it is of Eshonai and Vinley. They are the sisters, not Leshwi.
Yep.
But Eshonai no longer exists because who killed her? Was it Moab? No, I don't even remember. Do you remember who killed her?
I don't remember either.
It was a Radiant in the last book, I think. I don't even remember. But Eshonai had a big part to play. Vinley did too, apparently. Vinley is the one who is working on attaining all of the forms, and Eshonai is the one that first discovers humans. So,
I loved Eshonai so much, so I was really mad when she died.
Yeah.
And I always because we got that sister perspective, I always was just Vinley, get out of here. Get out of town. And so it took me a little while, this book, to warm up to her. But I did eventually.
Yeah. Honestly, part 3 doesn't do much for me. There's other stuff that happens. There's reveals that happens. That's where the glove is being developed and used for the first time that can propel Kaladin up, because the abilities of all the Radiants are taken away. Remind me, Kaladin still has his sum because he's at such a high level?
Yeah, well, and certain of the abilities are more affected than others.
Right.
As well.
They talk about them, gravitation is or isn't, and then one of the others is or isn't.
And I think there's even some how and why those are given to people stuff that's going to be revealed as more of this it's hinted at as being important to realize those relationships.
Well, so Lift has hers, but that's, I think, because of cultivation.
We learned that she's not even burning Stormlight; she's burning
Lifelight,
which is
now there's
crazy.
7 lights that we know of, Kenny. I think 7. Do you understand that? I'm not going to be able to hit all of them.
Here's the question. Are we going to end up with 10 or are we going to end up with 16?
We're going 16, bro.
I think so.
We've got...
I didn't know which... I didn't know whether this was Roshar specific manifestation of stuff where everything is, in 10s, or if we were going to get the whole reveal of everything is in 16s like we get in the other trilogy.
Mistborn. But speaking of 16, dude, is there a guy named 16 at Lasting Integrity? Is that the guy's name, or was it 19? It was...
No, I think it's 16.
What the heck?
I don't know.
Why does he do this?
He just drops so many little things, and you never know which ones he's going to come back to and expound on and
Right.
like literally build a whole book out of, and which ones are just going to be these little nuggets for people to discover and like have weird fan theories about and just tantalize us but not say. And it's so fun to not know.
The only thing I wish about 16, I wish that when they described that character that he had bandages around his eyes, just because I want that to be someone that I love.
You do.
The only other thing that I have marked here is at the end of part 3, Kaladin, almost dead, is rescued by Dalinar riding the storm. Dalinar rides the storm for the first time and throws Kaladin back
super
up
cool.
onto Urithiru. Anything else for you in 3?
No, I'm with you. It slowed down a little, but it didn't bother me like it did you. I felt like the slower parts of this book were faster than slower parts of the others.
Fair.
And I was intrigued by the characters still, and more revelations. Even if they weren't the big sort of plot twists, we were getting lots of new things that we were learning still consistently, not just like character stuff, but about this world and this universe. And so I stayed pretty hooked, even though it definitely went like marathon speed instead of sprint speed.
Yeah.
I was still all about it.
Yeah. Then we have interludes. Szeth meets with his bonded High Spren, and he wants to protect young Gavinor, and Taravangian requests the Oathstone all during that. We get a viewpoint, we get an interlude from Chiri Chiri, which is Rizen's pet dragon. It's going to be a dragon, but it's those little Larkins. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you recall or if it stood out to you, and maybe I'm overreading it, but at the end of her interlude, she says her first words. Like, not just her first English, like I think she speaks. She does speak, but I think she says life before death or something like that.
I don't even know.
Do you
just
think
everybody's radiant.
Everybody's radiant except
You
Adolin.
don't care.
Except Adolin. Adolin's never going to be radiant.
No.
And then we get Taravangian and Renarin. All right, part 4.
Hot take on Adolin.
Okay.
He is going to be bonded by his Spren instead of vice versa.
He's
And
gonna
it's gonna-
be
and it's
Maya's human?
Yeah, he's gonna be her human.
That would be the
And
best thing ever.
And it's gonna heal her. We haven't seen it yet, but that's my fan theory.
Do you think just that because he's got the personality of a golden retriever that he's going to...
I don't know. We didn't talk about it, but that whole relationship of
Maya,
him and
yeah.
her is so cool, and I don't know. There's something there that I just really, really love.
Well, you get it mainly here in part 4. I mean, that's where we are
Right.
right now. That's where she is the last one to speak up for him. She's the final witness against Adolin,
That moment.
and she screams, "We chose!"
Yeah, I know. Me too. Even now, goosebumps. Like, your delivery wasn't even that good, and it's got me.
The silent, broken Spren chose to be silent and broken after their bonds broke with humans.
Yeah, like they also knew the cost of what was going to happen. This is
Kenny,
not
stop.
something it's not something that the humans did, like, to them. It's something that everybody had intent about, and it's so good.
The High Judge of Lasting Integrity is not only Restaries, which is the leader of the, not Ghostbloods, but the other one,
Sons of
Honor. He's Kalek.
Right.
He's Kalek.
Like, why not?
And so that whole trial was pretty epic. Adolin standing up there and saying honor is not dead so long as he lives in the hearts of men. Just so many lines.
Some good quotes.
Like,
yeah.
Sanderson knows how to preach. And also, Adolin's the best. Okay, you already said your Adolin theory. I don't think Adolin's ever going to become radiant. I don't know what that means, because I don't think Sanderson's solution is just to make everyone radiant. I think that...
No, but he's going to full on... like, Maya's not going to stay how she is. Somehow their relationship is going to
evolve.
do something there in one way or another and evolve. And yeah, he may not be like radiant per se, but he's gonna be something.
I'm worried. You know that in this 5th book, some of our main characters are gonna die.
Oh yeah.
Not Adolin, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know
Formless speaks for the very first time in such an epic way. I had to stop and read it again because he slips it in there at the end of a chapter. They're conversing, they make a decision, and then it says Formless says this and Formless does this. And I was shook.
Yep.
Formless is scary. Man, so much happens in part 4. Probably my favorite part. That's when Navani and Raboniel finally create that new light. It's black and blue. They're singing tones of honor and odium together. It's a new rhythm, a rhythm of war.
Hey!
Which, by the way, why does Sanderson make it exceedingly difficult for us? The book is called Rhythm of War. What they create is called Rhythm of War. And then Navani writes her journal and calls it Rhythm of War. But that's the same with Oathbringer. It's a sword. It's a book. It's a book. It's at everything. He does that every time.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to name a book, it might as well be a big deal.
Radiant finally admits to killing ELA, which... not a big surprise to me. Not a big surprise to you?
No.
But a big surprise to both of us is that Shallan has 2 Spren.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I don't know what's going to happen with all of that.
Shallan's Spren that we have known this whole time wasn't patterned from earlier. It's a freaking different Spren altogether.
Yeah, that's just crazy. And... I don't know. The whole human-Spren relationship is going in weird ways, and it's got tons of potential, and I can't wait to see. I can't, because that's so intriguing.
At the end of the part, Raboniel brings in her daughter, or her daughter's been there the whole time, takes a god-killing knife that her and Navani have been able to infuse with, like, anti-light or whatever, and stabs her daughter to death.
Kills her daughter. Sets her free from this cycle of basically eternal torment that they're all stuck in, and shows that she's not about what everybody else is about. Like that's we know it, but this is the first time that it is obvious that she will take drastic action to fundamentally change things, and that she has. Like everything is different.
And then when it works, she takes that dagger and she says, okay, that was our test. We know that it works. Take it to the Windrunners. And or take it to the Radiants, that are in the tower. They're going to kill them all. Like that's the plan. Like we're going to separate them from their Sprens and kill them all. That's a scary way to end a part, but that's the way that part 4, an incredible part, concludes.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
The interludes are Hasina, which is Kaladin's mom confronting Liren about the way he's been treating him. Aiden, which I really kind of loved, actually. I used to not love the interludes from previous chapters, but here I really are from previous books. You've always loved them?
I've always loved the interludes. They've been some of my favorite.
Well, this one's cool.
And it's fun that he'll set up characters and then later sometimes goes back and they're a big deal. When we got Lift for the very first time, it was in an interlude, and that interlude went like deep in my heart. I loved it. And so it's a really fun way of revealing info, of giving a different perspective, of breaking up pacing. Like it was just really smart.
Yeah. We get Aiden. He's a 13-year-old potter's son, but he believes that today will be the day that he becomes a Windrunner, and that's about it. Like stuff is starting to happen, and his father goes out to be brave, and he's like, I'm going to go be brave too. And we see him later. And then Taravangian, he meets with Shah Anat, I don't know how to pronounce the young maid's name, and asks her for a way to draw Odium out. And I think that's where he gets the idea of put them in a room with Zeth and Nightblood and see what happens. We're not there yet.
Crazy.
All right, part 5. It's the final part of the book, so everything happens.
Right. The dominoes have all started to fall, and now they're in like free fall. He jumps from person to person and gives us like half a paragraph at a time sometimes, because just so many things are all happening.
Kaladin faces the pursuer and rips his head off. That's how he finishes him. Rips his head off. He attaches his head's power to the ground and keeps him on the wall, dude. It's so good.
It's really cool.
Teft and Lift face Vyre or Moash in the how do you say infirmary? Infirmary.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Moash paralyzes Lift and then walks over. Oh, I gotta say it. Walks over to Teft and with the god-killing knife, first kills Findorana, his Sprin, and then he kills Teft.
Yeah, I couldn't hate him more. Like, Teft is one of the best characters in this book. Like, he's great. He is my favorite part. I know it's just the
Of the
tiniest
last
little
one,
part.
yeah.
He's literally like two paragraphs in the whole thing, but he's my favorite part of Oathbringer. His you know, that whole his arc, and then saying the words and dealing with his addiction, and it's just so good. And so that one hurt a little bit.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
one still hurts a little bit.
And Moash knew what he was doing. He told Odium, that he knew what he was doing, or Teravander,
Yep.
whoever he was talking to. And he knew how to break Kaladin, and so that's what he uses to do that. And Cal is completely defeated as Moash drops Teft's dead body in front of him, and goes to commit suicide. Goes to launch himself off Urithiru, and as he does, what happens? Dalinar makes time slow down again and takes Kaladin into a vision with Tien. Isn't that what that's what happens? And I mean, just the most. So I don't cry in books, and I didn't cry in this one, but I was emotional. Do you cry in books? I want to.
All the time.
Do you really?
Literally, not all the time, but yes. When stuff is like, I don't cry at sad stuff usually. Like Teft dying didn't get me. But really inspirational stuff gets me, like, emotional pretty quick.
Yeah.
When Teft, like, again in the last book, when he has that moment where he comes to realization of like how much he hates himself and yet like still loves himself anyways and speaks the words, like, I'm just like,
right. Okay. So
there were a few of those in this book, not as many as in some of the others. Just again, because this whole like mental health depression thing, you mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel like Sanderson was a little heavy-handed on it. I love the idea of it as a book, and I think like fiction speaks to us as humans on levels that other things can't, because it's fiction and there's no rules.
Right.
And I think this sort of like focus on mental health is a really cool one, and literally something that people will read this book and be inspired by and be better people because of and be helped by. But like from a literary point of view, I feel like he overdid it a little bit.
Got you.
Still love the theme.
So then did it work for you or did it not when he's there with Teft and Teft gives him the horse, the wooden horse, and pretty much says, it's not your fault. Whatever, releases him from that. And then from that, Kaladin speaks the final word, the fourth ideal. I accept that there will be those that I cannot protect. And did that do it for you in this?
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't as good as some other moments.
Okay.
I knew it was coming, and like it was really led up to. Yeah, like I didn't ever think that he was going to actually let Kaladin like succumb.
Oh yeah,
just what I mean. Like it was too obvious that this was sort of big plot arc, so you just knew. But it was still really cool. The whole like wooden horse thing. And all the story coming back together was really neat, and it was definitely like inspirational and about time. I've been waiting for him to hit that fourth ideal for a long time.
He has to.
I know, like we all were. It needed to happen sooner. It would have saved us a lot of part 3. But I also love that, like, just the practicality of that ideal. I know that like the ideals get more specific, as they go. But it's such an inverse of kind of his earlier ideals of wanting to just help everybody no matter what. And then for there to be some nuance there and some accepting of the fact that what he wants to do, he just can't, is a kind of cool revelation.
I just love that Sanderson has created these ideals that are, one, so powerful in and of themselves, the words, right? But then you can't just say them. You have to mean them, embody them, and when you do, you reach that new power level. That's so brilliant. Now he's got this living Sprin armor, dude, that he can throw onto people. Which is
so neat. Like we've seen the armor before, but we've never like seen it in action.
Yeah.
And so getting that realization of how it works and some of the capabilities of it is So fun.
Do you see he goes back into war, into the battle in Urithiru, and starts throwing it on people to protect them from each attack? It's sick.
No, it's really cool.
Okay, and then back when, so like for chapters, Moash is slowly moving to Navani to kill her too, because she's in that room. It takes him a while. And in her final bout of strength, Raboniel turns on Moash and stabs him with everything that she has left. I thought that was a really cool decision that she made there. Or
Absolutely.
That, like, drains a lot of his Stormlight, which probably makes it possible for him to be defeated in that moment, in the following moments.
Such a cool character. You've already said it, but I absolutely love the development there, and that it was a neat resolution. But not just that. Like, Navani takes it a step further
when she's about to be killed by him.
Yep, and she speaks her own words.
I'm going to say it because it is the best presentation. He's about to kill her, right? And she says to Moash, "Journey before destination, you bastard," and then the tower gives itself to her.
It's so good.
That's one of the coolest moments in the book. She becomes the second bondsmith. A few other things. So Wit and Yasna together. Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't think so. I think they're just chummy.
He wants her. I think she had her glove off, dude.
She might have.
Which
Scandalous.
is unbelievable.
But it's also Yasna. She doesn't care about that stuff.
But Wit. Well, hold on. Before we get there, R'lain speaks his words and becomes Truth Watcher.
So great.
Because Renarin, son of Thorns is what they call him, sends a Spren to bond with him, which is amazing. Renarin is one of my favorites.
I love his character too.
I can't wait till they build out more of him. That's when Dalinar goes to Ishar, that other guy, the other that's kind of lost his mind and tries to convince him to join his side. He says no and leaves, defeats him easily, and he's one of the worst of the fighters of the night or of the original Radiance, or I don't remember what they're called.
He just wipes the floor with him.
And then when he leaves, Dalinar goes into the tent, and there are the bodies of Spren from Shademar there that they have been doing testing on, which is not okay.
No. I'm telling you, this whole human Spren interaction relationship, the learning, everything that's going on there is gonna be one of the coolest things to find out, because so much hinges on that.
The Pursuer's final moments, he is in the afterlife about to be reborn, but he's not, because he meets El, who's a new demigod or whatever. Here's what I'll say. I don't think Taravangian's a bad guy. We know he's not a bad guy.
No.
But is he a bad guy? As we go into the epilogue, we get Wit. We get one of the coolest moments of the Stormlight Archive so far.
I hate it. I hate it so much because I love Wit, and seeing him like fallible is just such a bummer to me.
Wit is in the old palace at Kholinar, and he's meeting Reyes. That's what's happening? But
yeah,
the new Odium arrives. The Taravangia Odium, the Taravangia, whatever we're gonna call that, and steals many of Wit's memories because they're held in breaths. His abilities because they're held in breaths.
Takes his perfect pitch away, and Wit doesn't even realize. His memory's gone. He's less witty. He's just less. And I've always felt like he was in the pocket, like in this world, subtly influencing things. Like, stuff's going to be all right. Like, Wit's around. He'll take care of it. Yeah, the fact that the threat is even more of a threat than we realized is such a good way to end the book, because the scope of things just got huge. That's Sanderson, no surprise. But man, I love those little final knife twists, and my jaw was on the floor.
It's an excellent book. If you haven't read it yet, you should not have watched this video.
If you haven't read it yet,
sorry.
Oops.
Now you have.
Yeah.
But most of you have read it. Let us know in the comments down below what your big moments were, or if you agree with us, where we got it wrong, and theory craft with us. What is happening? Who is L? What's going to happen with Adolin? Is he going to bond Maya, or is Maya going to bond him?
Talk about all the stuff that's a big deal to you, because as long as this video was, and it wasn't short, we already just scratched the surface. There were so many things that we didn't even talk about that got revealed. So many cool moments, so much world building and evolution of the world. And yeah, we'd love to kind of hear your take on all of it for sure.
Kenny, thank you for joining me on this very special episode. This is fun. First time to have you on the show. And I've been doing this right at a year now. So you are our 1 year celebration.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Good choice.
And now, how long do we have to wait for book number 5? 3 years, I think.
I mean, not that long. It'll be a while, but
not related
Sanderson's
to most
a machine.
authors. Yeah.
Right. Like, this isn't a Martin situation. We don't have to worry. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen as quickly as is, faster even than is reasonably expected.
Thank you so much for watching this video, for clicking like. If you haven't yet, click subscribe and join the Dragon Army. Kenny, do you want them to find you anywhere online?
I mean, if they want, they can listen to our podcast, but otherwise, no. Let me live in anonymity in the woods.
It's New Game Plus podcast, or ngppodcast.com. Again, that link will be down below. But again, thank you so much for joining me to talk about one of our favorite books of all time from one of the greatest authors of all time. And
such a fun conversation. Thanks for letting me just vent and nerd out with you a little bit.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.